Hey, what's going on, my family? Michael here. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to change that thing in your life that doesn't want to change. Here we go. So we have a lot of areas in our life that we may want to change. Sometimes it's some things about our appearance, maybe some weight, maybe eating better. We have some relationship issues that we want to change. We have some work issues we want to change, maybe some family. The list goes on and on and on, right? But sometimes when we really want something to change, we focus a lot of our energy on it. And no matter how hard we focus and we try many different things, it doesn't want to change. And I've come up with a solution. I've come up with like this secret that I found in the relationship between all these things and actually how our consciousness perceives them. And then from there, how our life reacts to this conscious change inside of us. So I call it the framework technique, and I'm going to be talking about a lot of other videos on this particular subject, and eventually someday there's going to be something coming out about this. So I developed this thing called the framework technique, and I'm going to just give a general basis. This framework technique allows you to change whatever it is in your life that you want to change. No matter how it is, this framework technique allows you to become the master of your own life, because this technique gives you a tool to create the life that you want. When you want to change something in your life and you are focusing your time and energy on it and it doesn't want to change, here's a secret. It may not be time for that particular thing to change. So sometimes what we can ask ourselves, instead of what do I want to change, it is what wants to change within me. This will allow you to take more of an observational perspective on yourself instead of being through the lens of the eyes, which sometimes we want things to change due to some sort of judgment or peer pressure or condensating kind of viewpoint that we have in this world, right? And also, it can come from our own expectations or others putting expectations on us, and then we want things to change. And the reason that these changes may not want to happen in your life is because they are not authentic to you. We must be careful that when we want to change, it is not from some sort of attachment to some sort of low vibrational reason. So if you truly want to evolve and master your life, then we must ask ourselves what wants to change within me, because that change is coming from the higher perspective or higher self. Because if we ask ourselves internally what wants to change, then it's coming from a part of us possibly found in a much more higher consciousness. And here is an example. Sometimes we want to change our weight, a physical realm, right? In the physical realm, something we can touch, feel, and see with our eyes very easily. Somebody changes their weight, you can see it dramatically. And sometimes people do dramatic things. They go get liposuction. They get it cut out of their body. They do crazy diets. They eat very, very not healthy to just get rid of the weight, because it is coming from a place of peer pressure, expectations. You know, the world just imprints on us that we're supposed to look a certain way. So therefore, we are sacrificing our health, our mental health, our spiritual health, all to be fit into a box to look a certain way. And here is the reason that this framework technique steps in. When we ask ourselves what wants to happen, so we're trying to lose weight and it is not happening, the framework technique gives you 5 things to focus on: internal, external, physical, communication, and relationships. If the one thing in your life that you want to change isn't changing, shift to something else in those categories. Shift over to the internal. Shift over to the relationship, the communication. One other aspect of your life. And when the time is ready for the change to happen that you originally wanted, it's going to happen in a much more authentic way. We cannot force these changes to happen, especially in the modern world, because we do not have time to integrate like we're supposed to. When we change, it creates an integration process within us to integrate the new us into our life. And if we continue to not integrate the changes that we are making in our life, then we reach stagnation and these changes become futile and we get stuck because the energy gets stuck in our life. But when you create a momentum inside of you of change, you can change anything that you want after a while. You'll literally be able to do it, because the momentum is going to be created within you. And if you are creating change from your inner self, from your higher consciousness, then those changes are going to be in alignment with you truly. They're not coming from a low vibrational reason. They're coming from a higher place. And these changes actually are going to happen because you're going to have synchronicities. You're going to have other things in your life that actually want to help you create this change. And these are some of the secrets that I've learned to unfold in my own life, because I've changed some things in my life very, very drastically. And in the beginning of these changes, it was frustrating and it was very hard, because some of the things I was trying to change, they didn't want to change yet. They were like stuck. My ego had them chiseled, concreted into my subconscious. But then I learned, hey, there's so much in my life that I want to work on besides this. Why not give that a little bit of a break, move on to this other thing, allow that little energy and that momentum that I created on this one thing to kind of just take seed, right? And then I would shift over to something else. I'd come back to it when I want to focus on it, and it would be like a little flower now, and the change would start to happen. I'd water a little bit, and it would continue to grow. So it doesn't always take all the effort and the focus that we want. It might take longer than you perceive. And here's a secret. Here's a little trick. Avoid giving it a time frame. Avoid giving it a time frame. Avoid giving it a time frame. I can't say enough. Avoid giving things time frames. If we say, I want to lose this and this and this in this amount of time, or I want to fix this and this and this in this amount of time, guess what? You're going to get a little bump back. You're going to get a little, oh yeah, you think you got a little, you think you know everything? You think you can fit everything into a box and in 6 months you're going to be able to do all that? No. There are lessons to be learned here, my family. Changes are lessons. When you want to change, you must read the lesson, or otherwise you are going to just stuff it back down in your body, and you're going to have to create the change and possibly another little fraction or aspect of yourself anyway. So don't force the change. The changes will flow. If you want to make more money, if you want to be more happy, if you want to look healthy, if you want to be better, it creates a change. It creates a momentum. It creates reaching a higher consciousness. So once again, the framework technique, which I'm going to dive deeper into other videos on specifically this, but the framework technique that I've created, it is 5 things: relationships, communication, physical, internal, external. When we focus on something else in that wheel that I just listed, when we get stuck, it will shift the energy. We're still changing something. The seed that was planted is still growing, and we will continue to move around this wheel until we turn into a quantum evolution in our life. It turns quantum, and we evolve. It's like having all the burners ready to have liftoff instead of focusing on just one thing. And when you focus on other things, they are going to support the change. You may really, really, really want something, and that's fine. But as you evolve in other areas, you will also gain a new perspective on this thing that you really want to change. And you're going to see it a little bit more clearly. You're like, maybe I'm being way too hard on myself. Maybe I'm like perfectly fine just the way that I am in this aspect. And this whole time that I've been wanting to change that is because everyone around me doesn't like it. And I actually want to fit into everyone else around me. And then when you move over to go work on the relationships part, you're going to realize, I kind of want to drop those people anyway because they're so judgmental. They have all these crazy high expectations. They do nothing for me. They drain me. So therefore, I'm going to drop them. And then once they're dropped out of my life and I have all that negativity gone, then I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to look at this one thing that I've been wanting to change just because they're always telling me that I should change it. Wow. See how that works? That is how it works. And then when we move into the external, maybe we get a cleaner environment. We clean our car more. We get rid of old clothes. We start shifting around that external environment. Then we go back to maybe working on our internal environment, which is more of like that meditation, that self-talk, right? How we judge ourselves internally, how we communicate with ourselves internally, others internally, right? And if we're having blocks in these areas, it's okay. We just shift into another area, move into some relationships. We pick a relationship in our life that's been driving us nuts, Could be a family member. That's like the final frontier. They're the hardest ones to deal with, right? And then we shift and we work on a relationship. And then we hit a little bit of a block. We're finding some resistance. Boom, we bust out to the physical. We work on our diet. We work on our exercise. We work on making sure we're getting fresh air, sunlight, our physical body. So there we have it. That is how it works. They all string into each other. So focusing on another isn't taking the desire out of this. It's just saying, hey, this door doesn't want to open for me right now. We can spend our whole entire life trying to do something that doesn't want to be done yet. And guess what that is? That is the universe, that is spirit, whatever you want to say, that's saying, all you got to do is look inside at a different angle. You're going to find how you're going to find your way there. But when we continue to perceive things from a lower consciousness, we will not be able to see what is not being perceived. Therefore, when we shift focus and we shift into this technique, when we shift into something else and we create the momentum in another area, our consciousness is going to rise on a quantum field, on a quantum level. We're going to change directions from a much different perspective in our life. Inside, and then we can go back and look at it, and because it was a quantum shift, that in itself is going to change, and you're going to have a new tool. You're going to have maybe a stronger personality, a better physical body to support you, stronger relationships in your life, a better physical environment. Something is going to have changed. Now, some people go their whole life, they don't want to change. They've literally been doing the same thing that they've always been doing for 50 years, 30 years, 40 years. People don't always want to change. I'm talking to those seekers. You know who you are. If you're listening to me right now, you're one of those people. I literally am one of the people that just walk the planet, and all I'm just constantly trying to, see what's there. Always looking for that next thing. But I went through a period of my life where I got very stuck in this because we do it too much. It creates too much to process. All right? So if you're like a seeker, if you're a truth seeker and you're always looking to evolve and see what's out there and find the truth, it's all found inside of you. Every single aspect of that which you want to change and look for is found within you. And there's a lot of information out there nowadays, and it's getting a little hard to wade through. So give this frame technique a try. Framework technique. We have the physical. We have the internal. We have the external. We have the communication. And we have the relationships. These 5 areas of your life will give you an eternity within you to change dimensions within yourself and to continually going around the wheel, creating a quantum vortex within yourself of evolution that you will always be able to focus on. It gives a whole new dimension to life. You will see your physical reality change. Everything will change for the better because you are held from a divine place. And when you go inside and change from that place, it will guide you. My family, thank you so much for listening. Hit that like button, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you want me to make a video on something, leave me a comment on that too. Always looking for some new ideas. Focus on yourself. You are the master. You got this. Much love and be well.